Right, family and friends from the TNN TV Media Podcast. I bring on a massive greetings. And today, now the 13th of March 2025, time on my side is 2 minutes past 8 p.m. in the night. And this is not a special broadcast, but just before I go ahead, it's a very interesting broadcast per se. But I will get for shape them into two segments. One where I go do today and very short. I've been mean for do only one program on this particular subject, but I don't talk a lot about. But because I got caught up between something else, so I've been just compelled for do the program halfway instead of I just cancel them or postpone them altogether. So I would do a bit here, probably 15, 20, or possibly 30 minutes, but I look at between 15 and 20 minutes for add-on break, the points they want to make, where most of we know already, but we come up from different angle, different perspective, even though we all want the same. But I shall just say, nothing will continue. So there are two aspects we want for look at on this program today. We probably might just focus on one, but I go lay the premise and I know exactly where they come up from. So I greet everybody again massively. My name is Prince Emil Kroma. I'm the host of this particular program today. It's a monologue. I'll be opening them to phone calls if una will see the flyers, but I don't think so I will take a phone call today. But in part two, where will be, the height of this broadcast, then obviously we'll take a call, let everybody express their opinions and views. Sister Yata Masakwe, hello to you. And everybody else, we don't sign on. I think there's about a dozen of us now. And with the broadcast or stream live this program, both on YouTube and Facebook. So wherever you watch them from, if you can help for share the link so other people and able for join we. All right. So I don't see the caption, obviously, which talks about moral and legal justice. And this now within the context of the last election, where the main opposition party is alleged to have won the elections, even though there's no evidence, yet to that effect. I mean, hardcore evidence to that effect. So most of the circumstantial evidence and the half hard evidence we available not point to a specific winner. And a lot of people will agree if you want to put with prejudices and we selfishness, aside and talk about country first before political parties first. But that's for another day. So like I say again, I want to come up from the point of view of justice, both moral and legal. But maybe we'll even add a little bit of spiritual or God justice, religious justice, if you like, because it's also another part or aspect of justice. But the main thing I want to focus on tonight in this 15, 20 minutes adumbration of this particular program is moral and legal justice. I take notes, here, like I say, normally I cannot, sort of wind this up in my head. But because, again, I've been kind of caught up with this, so I've been able to make a little bit of note. So I want to talk about, I want to come from the perspective of justice, if you like. So, like I say, two main ones then. You get moral, and then you get the legal one. And when I not forget to they talk about the perspective or the context within the last general elections, where today there's a controversy around them. Okay? So first of all, I want to begin with moral justice. And the moral justice will be to we waiting a moral justice. Waiting a moral justice. In my opinion, I feel say moral justice now some inbuilt mechanism inside we, some inbuilt thoughts or feelings inside we, when a wrong is done to us, they react immediately, but now by expressing sentiments, emotional outburst, and so forth and so on. That is on the basis of moral justice. Okay, when something happens, which we consider for be an injustice, they react in such fashion. It's highly emotional for we, because why we get the propensity for be good people, and so now that inbuilt mechanism they in the inside we get the propensity for be people of uprightness, honesty. So they expect justice in many respects when something go wrong. But when that thing they go wrong in terms of moral justice, the way we they express ourselves is through sentimental, through emotional outburst, and so forth and so on. Okay. And I mean, one Fambule also know say that when it comes to this, now it make we opinion can split around in the scenes because Now, highly subjective matter when it comes to moral justice. How one person see am, not also the other person see am, or go express the moral outrage. Okay? Because we might both see am as wrong, but we approach to that particular issue might most likely be different as how we want for see am resolve. So now it make the issue of moral justice is subjective, okay, and it can vary from person to person, from situation to situation, and therefore a subjective topic. Okay, whenever something sort of violate with feelings, one word on stress on and can't stress more, we immediately go into this kind of reactions, which I just don't describe, okay? And these are the level where most of we can act or we action can based on an emotional level, expressing sentiments, exposing we biases, we inherent biases, and etc., etc., okay? But on the other side of this, you get what we refer to as legal justice. I go repeat. On the other side of this, we get what we refer to as legal justice. Now, forgive me 1 minute, yes? Now, make I say, I really not settle, yeah, like I go normally settle for do me stuff. So now forgive me. Right. And I know I will be forgiven. So on the side of legal justice, waiting this actually represents, of course, you read the word legal. This is very crucial to all these arguments we make or what we don't they make. The issue of moral justice, when a sentiment people and they express because they feel some outrage at something being done to them in an unjustifiable manner, and this action, I mean, if I can just add, because I move to legal justice, but I want to touch this again on moral justice, on a potential outcome, the behavior of people to issues of moral justice. When you see wrong happen, where they react in that emotional way, where they express then sentimental things them about things the way you feel go wrong, what thing can happen now is different. Now they talk about earlier, the approaches are kind of different because here now, what happens is your reaction might make you be charitable because there is a cause that will arise from that injustice day. Some people might take up the effort, just like we see in the case of electoral justice, which I always say is a noble cause. Don't, fancy the idea the way it's been fought. And hence why I make this argument today on legal and moral justice. So on the issue of morality, which is highly subjective, then therefore people can express their opinions them in different ways because there is a variance when it comes to moral justice. So X say, well, we know what for do we for pick up weapons and rebel and fight. Let's do that. Other one then they can say, well, let's open a think tank where we go use for educate with people so that such a thing will not happen again. Or how do we manage for bring about changes? Others then go even pick up arms for rebel against the state, in this particular case. Because again, like the argument being made, there is no recourse to justice because the justice system is compromised. Where I will come to, because having said this, it does not mean that people are not supposed to take action in the courts. Hence why we come to the issue of legal justice. So waiting a legal justice, now we say is the representation of some formalized way of justice where society don't agree on say this na ingo govern we. There is no ambiguity. And I repeat, because again, people in offend them a little bit, they want to become explanatory in their own way. Now they distinguish the difference between morality or moral law as opposed to legal law. Legal laws are defined. No ambiguity, no day. That not means say the way somebody with a task with the responsibility for interpret them not go be biased. They can be biased, okay? But the law itself is self-explanatory. And if we follow on to the letter, now in people are used for seek a recourse or some sense of justice where injustice has been carried out. You go to the law to get some reprimand for whatever has gone wrong. Like I say again, this now 10-15 minutes program or 20 minutes, and we already don't spend 13 minutes And the subject matter is so important, it's so sensitive, Fambulem. And like I say again, I tied up, with the presentation what we want to do on these two things. So waiting we go get for do, Fambulem, is I will get for left this program for Monday. It's very important because I want put to bed finally. And when I say finally, for people them way they kind of listen to waiting with the say, but using the medulla, the sense of reasoning for think as to how we come usa with this and how we for forge ahead whilst we agree say never again. So legal justice now the cause where you defend because in an ambiguity is defined. That not mean say the person where then tasked with interpret and not go harbor biases. But when you talk about moral justice, which is the outrage which people have been going on with ever since, after the elections, because they felt a sense of injustice where they're entitled to, but just expressing the sentiment. Remember, say you get people them with different thoughts. Other people them now because now them political party. Other people then are because the people them who suppose for potentially emerge as winners are relatives and friends, that cronyism and nepotism working inside politics. For other people then are people that we don't commit to them people there in different ways. Say I will help, or they even made financial contribution, which is there is nothing wrong with making a financial contribution towards a political cause, towards a political party, but that is a kind of an investment in which you expect return. So they expect, say, if they had won, then that means your investment was worth it, and potentially there will be returns. But if they lose, then it's a bad feeling. But it's equally even worse under the circumstances that the government they say you lost. And this is it. Outside the sense of injustice come out, where there is this moral outrage, which different people and they express them in different ways for different reasons. Hence, what it makes very important now that the legality of the country should be exploited. There has to be a legal case. If you're ever serious about this entire thing, if you're serious about it, you have to move on. Excuse me, guys. Yeah. Yeah, will you send it down to room 101? I will be in there, and that's where we hold in the hearing, yeah? Yeah. Can you ask Isaiah to also come in? And it'll be good if Chloe is there as well to take notes, yeah? All right, then. I'll see you guys at 9. All right, Famulem, I'm really sorry now. I've been to say, I kind of caught up. Yeah, having a little meeting or hearing and etc. Tonight. Anyway, like I've been to say, back to the issue of itself. You have to pursue your matter legally. You can't be in land koku or kuku land. And remember saying that the same people there will get this application inside their head. Now they first will refer to other people, as why would you be pursuing this matter in this sense? Well, this is what I'm trying to adumbrate here tonight. Although I get short time, but I will get more time on Monday for make this case clearly on the basis of morality and legality. Moral law, legal law. Okay? Moral law and sentiments now they express. And inside there we get with biases, we get with prejudices, boku inside it. And for reasons, again, what I just articulate, Gigi Snow. So for different reasons, I don't invest potentially the outcome of this particular thing with the hope that I will have a return to my investment. Now, this is a complete loss with waiting happen. And especially really bad under the circumstances where this happened. Whereas in the legal aspect of things, okay, it's a defined law. No ambiguity. I know they talk about whether the interpreter, okay? And get this fambulem. And I will end here, and Monday we go into this. So there are few things they've been, the All People's Congress has been telling, followers, members, and the nation as a whole, because this obligation is not only owed to All People's Congress party members. This is a national party, yes, having people that follow you, but there's a bigger obligation. There's a bigger stage, and that is about a nation. When you govern or when you go to the campaign trail, you're speaking not only to your members. In fact, your members are helping you to recruit others, because as for members, you already have them. So you're making a general case to the general populace that this is why you should vote for us. In other words, you're looking forward to signing a social contract with the broad masses of the citizens to entrust power to you for a period of time, most likely for 5 years. So it's not only your members. Members are important, but the nation is equally very important. Okay? So now that na in the party then can want. So when you do fet that fet day, not only for you members, and in this case, not even for you members. Okay? It's about the nation. There's a national duty, a national obligation. So when something goes wrong, the place society they pursue this is in the legal courts. And now there's been an opinion, and this is the problem where there's morality and then there's legality. So yes, there's an opinion, oh, if we go to this court, and there are precedents, by the way, that if we go to this court, we won't derive justice from this court. But this is just an opinion. It's an opinion. And you're entitled to your opinion, but sure enough, your opinion, it lie lower when it comes to legal issue. Because our opinion there itself, you can take onto court. You can take onto the court and go express that opinion there. Now the court of law, which is defined. It's defined. You know the ambiguity, the law, trust me. And again, if I can just repeat for understanding, not the interpreters, those that are tasked. And yes, we can understand where people express, reservation, apprehension about the law, the way it's been interpreted, generally with judicial system, when it comes to different shades of government, okay? Then they disadvantage the other as opposed to the other. And justice is hardly meted out. But having said this, it's not an excuse, say, you cannot go to the courts. You have to. Did you hear me? It's a matter of must that you have to go to the courts. Because again, you get a case for proof. I mean, to me, I've looked into this, many a times. Might be wrong, but I still find a way for let somebody tell me how wrong could this notion be that you hold a sentiment, that you hold an opinion against something, but you need for proof your opinion right. Yes, there are precedents that you could cite, but they are different levels, different cases, different shapes and forms. But that's the entirety of your case. Now you want to prove. And like I said, now two things I don't read the All People's Congress membership, they say, because there's a split now. That's obvious. There are more and more people beginning to reason out. So that yell for justice, which was actually, or it is still necessary, the voice will be the echo on top of the mountains, okay? They reverberate beyond the mountains. It's now even so less. It's getting lesser because there are other things that are following up that need to follow up. So two things why the argument from the All People's Congress members is when you talk about the courts, and then you say there is no evidence to take to the court, which I find I don't want to appear, as being very insulting to my APC comrades and friends, but I mean that argument it need for being looked into. Of course, we don't so far-fetched inside this argument that it's a little bit, some people are kind of stuck to it, when you kind of believe something and they allow reasons for prevail. So that one argument and anyway that we are going to deal with shortly. Evidence. We don't have evidence. Can you imagine? The second one is the courts cannot be trusted. So both statements are true. What I find difficult about these two statements, which I find true, it not means it because these statements are true, so we cannot go and test the courts. And furthermore, this is the main cause of action in terms of a legal sense, prescribed laws of the land that we need to put to a stress test. We can't go on depending on the international community at a stage where it should have been our jurisdiction that should have deliberated on this. And if the outcome is not to your like, then you can pursue this. And this is where international law comes in, which is interpreted on different stages, that you might start with a regional body such as ECOWAS, which also have some kind of responsibility in terms of agreements and other things that are signed by this regional body. But one thing that we have to take note of is the law of sovereignty. Sovereign states. Okay, most people again can misinterpret this. There is no law more supreme than the law of the land. This is why it's important that the law of the land has to be exhausted. In other words, if you get a problem, you need for go to the courts and keep pushing, because you are looking for justice and you make your case. Now, let me deal with the issue of evidence. You don't necessarily have to have evidence. I don't understand this, by the way. Which evidence are we talking about? Which evidence? That we not get the evidence so we can't go to court. But even if let's say we were supposed to have evidence, but we don't have the evidence, is that not reason enough for let we go to court for go ask the court, can you ask for evidence to be provided, please? Is that not reasonable a position enough that we ask for action to be taken to compel whichever body will fall under the jurisdiction and they beneath the law for ask the law for compel such individuals, organizations or institutions for act in accordance with the law? Do we need an evidence? No, we don't. We don't. Because in the absence of the so-called evidence, we now go to the court and ask the court to compel such body based on the case where we make a compelling case that on June 24th, the people of Sierra Leone went to the polls. These are the election laws. And this is what happened. So you don't create your evidence. When you talk about evidence, you wait for Mohammed Kone and your evidence, wait for dinner your hand. You don't know, say you self get evidence when you can go to court that such was violated. You articulate that. The APC has very, very brilliant lawyers, top lawyers in the country. And then people are going and making these absurd statements. Yeah, these very, very absurd statements. That's what they keep making. Yeah. And they keep making these statements, which I find really, really ridiculous. That all you have to do is assemble the evidence that you have, things that you disagree with, because there are defined parameters on how the election should be conducted, polling station by polling station, the list, the ID cards, the returning officers, everybody else that involved in the process is defined. Again, there's no ambiguity about the process, because why? It's legal, it's the law. So if there is a foul play in the law, that's evidence enough for you to take to your court. But here comes the suspicion, because here is the crux of the problem, which is not being adumbrated or articulated or elucidated in a proper fashion. And here it is fumbling. So the point here now is there is a suspicion on the part of the court that we will not have justice. That the people of Sierra Leone, if they go to seek justice in a court which is compromised or has been hijacked by the government of the day, there will be no recourse to justice. Have you tested it? Don't you see the obligation that you have, the commitment that you have to take what you have to the court, at least to register a case formally? Doesn't the laws of the country ask that if you've got a grievance, that within this period you need to lodge a complaint, file a complaint? Is this not so? Is it not defined? Yes, it is. So then two things there are with me. For me, there are so many questions around this, and this is exactly where the problem is. The court cannot be trusted. Let's agree that it cannot be trusted based on precedent. But this is what we have. And until you exhaust them, you can't jump over this court where you not get a case for go by, say the court don't deprive me of justice. Here is the case that I've made. Here is the evidence that I presented. Here is the counter to it. That now you need help from outsiders because you cannot have that help from within. That's blunder number one to me. Blunder number two is to say we don't have the evidence, that's why we are not going to court. I don't see how much sense this makes, because different people interpret them different way, and some people don't get caught up in this, in a sense that it's like, really, truly. But if you don't get that evidence where you look for Mohammed Corner, because I'm sure those people are asking for the evidence which are support. But if you don't have it, it doesn't mean that you don't have evidence enough to go to the court, because that in itself is a case. Because if the corner man supposed to provide that results to the people of Sierra Leone, to the people of the All People's Congress, the executive, the main opposition party, and that evidence is not being provided as required by law, then that in itself is case enough, it's evidence enough for take to the courts. So Fambule, like I say, there's a lot to say about this, and I'm just beginning to warm up, but I'm caught up. I get a meeting, where I need for conduct, and then Monday we go talk at large about this. But we'll not forget, it's based on morality and legality, the legal law and the moral law. Religious law can come in between, but this is not just a kind of a feeling. So this is just a kind of feeling that I try to express, because the moral side can be inside this thing, but in terms of morality, we not forget this moral law is largely based on sentiments expressed, a kind of feelings expressed, and etc. So, Fambule, I must end here for tonight. Una join me on Monday evening. We'll go pull the flyer and una go see the time where we'll talk more on this. But we need to move on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until we'll catch up again. My name is Prince Emil Kroma of the TNN TV podcast. Take care. Share this wide and far. Bye-bye for now.